are going to discuss a very special lecture on correlation. What is the meaning of correlation and how it is useful in psychology? Are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
is
sir.
it visible to you clearly?
Yes, sir. Clearly visible. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much. Let's start the meaning of correlations. What is the meaning of correlations? How it is relevant to psychology? Why we should understand the correlations? Correlation simply means when we want to relate two things at a time or more than two things. Is there any relationship between two things? Sometimes we are not able to uh, establish cause and relationship. In that sense, we just relate the two things. Some of the behavior which we cannot relate the causal effect between them. So in that condition, we have to take help the correlations analysis. Okay, so correlation is very important to understand the relationship between two variables. So let's discuss the meaning and the nature of correlation. Correlation simply means we are we want to establish the relationship. We want to have a relationship between the stimuli, between the variables, between the persons, between the situation. But before establishing the relationship, we have to understand that we required at least two things or two variables or two situations, two persons. Okay, so correlation simply means the relationship between two things or two variables. We also want to know what is the extent of relationship. Means we want to have the quantifications of the relationship, magnitude of the relationship, how much the relationship is with two things or two variables. Correlations can be positive or it can be negative or it can be zero. So simply we can say positive correlation, negative correlations, and zero correlations. So what is the meaning of positive correlations? If the two variables have the relationship in the same directions, if it increases, then second one is also increasing. If one variable is increasing, second will also definitely increase. So the positive relationship means the two variables increasing in the same directions. If the variable anxiety increase, then stress is also increasing. So this is the positive correlations. So what about the negative correlation? Negative correlations means if one variable increase, second variable will decrease. One is increasing and second one is decreasing. That is the negative correlations. Let's have an example of negative correlation. If the mental health problems increase, then the social interaction will decrease. Okay, if the mental health problems are increasing, then social interaction of the individuals will decrease. Because of mental disorders or mental illness, person is having less interaction with the people. So this is the negative correlations. This is the example of negative correlation. What about zero correlation? Zero correlation means there is a no relationship among them. There is a no extent of relationship between the variables. Sometimes it is also known as nonsense correlations. There is no sense between the variables. There is no sense of relationship. Let's see the graph. Positive correlations and no correlation means there is no relationship between the variables. Two things are not related with each others. Both are different. As you can see, the positive correlations, both the variable are increasing in one direction. If height increase, then weight is also increasing in the same manner. Similarly, you can see the negative correlations in the graph. You can find that one variable is increasing and second one is decreasing. You can see the directions. You can see the arrow. One is in higher side and second is in lower side. Mental illness are increasing and the social interactions are decreasing. So this is the example or graphical presentation of the relationships, positive correlations and negative correlations. So what will be the range of correlations? How we can estimate the range of correlations? Correlation range starts from the -1 to +1. -1 means the perfect negative correlations between the variable. Perfect negative. And +1 means the perfect positive correlations between the variables. Okay, so this is the range. And I also want to tell you that we are using the terms the coefficient, correlation coefficient. Coefficient means we are talking about the extent of that relationship. Coefficient is the extent. Correlations means the relationship between two variables and what is the extent of those relationship of two variables. So in this way, we are using the correlations coefficient terms. Okay. What are the functions of correlations? When we are discussing the functions of correlations, we have three major functions of any correlations. First one, the correlations reveal about the direction. What is the direction of the relationship? Whether it is in a positive way or it is in a negative way. What is the real direction of the relationship? So first thing which we came to know about the correlation coefficient or correlations is the direction. One is increasing and second one is decreasing, or both are increasing in the same way, whether it is positive or negative. So we understand the direction of relationship first, then magnitude how much is the relationship is, how strong relationship is that, means to what extent two things are related with each others, what quantity we are quantifying the relationship. So in this way we can understand the magnitude, or in another words I can say that the extent. What is the extent of relationship, how much? For example, 0.49, what is that? 0.49 means it is the relationship between two variables, and it tells the how much they are related with each others. Okay, 0.49 or 0.79 is higher than the 0.49 means it reveals the extent, it reveals the magnitude of the relationship. Okay, and final, as we know that the correlation means the simple relationship between the variables, so it reveals the relationships, it reveals the relationships. If two things are related with each others, or whether they are related with each other or they are not related with each others, this is the, you know, the meaning or the functions of correlations, which we can understand with the help of these functions. So that is why the correlations is needed. We can understand the correlation functions in a three-way: directions of the relationship, magnitude of the relationships, and finally the relationship between two things. Okay, so this is about the functions of the correlations. Let's discuss the assumptions of correlations. What are the assumptions of correlations? Assumptions means we are having certain rules, certain requirement while we are performing certain uh, correlations analysis. So simply assumptions means we want to follow certain rules, we want to follow certain requirement for that particular analysis. So there are certain assumptions for correlations. All correlations methods having specific assumptions while we are calculating those analysis. Okay, so in general there are uh, three or four assumptions which we need to understand. As we know, as we have understood the meaning of assumptions, there are the certain requirements. We also understand the meaning of parametric statistics and non-parametric statistics. So based on parametric and non-parametric statistics, we are following certain method of correlations. Okay, so parametric means you all know that we are having certain assumptions, certain condition, and non-parametric means the condition which in non-parametric we are not following certain conditions, rather it is free. We can calculate the correlations coefficient in parametric statistics as well as non-parametric. So this is the different things. So let's discuss the assumptions of the correlations. What are the assumptions? First, we need to understand the level of measurement first. What is the meaning of level of measurement? Means we need to understand the data, the scale on which the particular variable is. We have to understand the knowledge related to the scaling of the variables or the level of measurement. It should be, if we are talking about the parametric statistics, in that sense, in parametric statistics, we have to understand the level of measurement at least on interval level or at least on continuous variables. Interval, the two things are having a relative distance among them, between them. Okay, level of measurement. Second, two variables are in a related pairs. Two things are related in a particular pair, and the relationship between the variables are in a linear form. Linearity. Linear means a straight line. Linear relationship, linearity. We can see the linearity between them. We can see the linearity with the help of straight line. One variable is two variables are going in the same directions, whether it is positive or negative. And normality. Data is in data distributions is very normal. We are talking about the normality. Data should be in terms of normal or normality. So these four assumptions are very common while we are discussing the correlations method. Level of measurement at least should be on continuous or interval level. Two things should be related with each others. Data or variable should be in linear form or in a straight line, whether it is positive or negative. Data distributions should be in normal way or in normality. There are certain methods of assumptions has been mentioned. A method of correlations coefficient has been mentioned in your syllabus. We will discuss one by one uh, the method of correlations. Pearson product movement method of correlations, Spearman rank methods, biserial, partial correlations, and multiple correlations. We will discuss in next class one by one the method of correlations. So we have to understand the certain methods. These are the methods of correlations. First, we will discuss the Pearson product movement correlations. Pearson product movement correlations. As we understood that the certain requirement are there while we are performing the method of correlations. So what are the requirement for Pearson product movement correlations? We will discuss the requirement or assumptions for Pearson product movement correlations. First requirement for Pearson product movement correlation is continuous scale. What is the meaning of continuous? Continuous means we can divide the variable in a smaller unit. Continuous. We can divide certain things in a continuous manner or in a smaller unit. Let's have an example for continuous scale or continuous variable. uh, we can say that a year can be divided further in 12 months. Month can be divided further 30 days or in weeks. Weeks can be divided in 7 days, and days can be divided in 24 hours, and 24 hours can be divided in 12 hours, 6 hours. Hours can be divided in 60 minutes to 1 minutes. Okay, in this way we can understand the meaning of continuous variables. Okay, but we cannot uh, understand we should understand the discrete variable as well. अगर मैं सिंपली आपको कहूँ कंटिन्यूअस वेरिएबल और डिस्क्रीट वेरिएबल का एग्जांपल आपको सिंपली कहूँ, तो कंटिन्यूअस का मीनिंग यही है जिसके हम छोटे से छोटे टुकड़े कर सकते हैं, जिसको हम छोटे से छोटे टुकड़े में बांट सकते हैं। और डिस्क्रीट का मतलब है जिसके हम छोटे से छोटे टुकड़े नहीं कर सकते। ओके, तो हमें ये समझना होगा पियर्सन प्रोडक्ट मूवमेंट कोरिलेशंस की जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो फर्स्ट कंटिन्यूअस स्केल पर होनी चाहिए। डेटा शुड बी ऑन कंटिन्यूअस स्केल। सेकंड रिक्वायरमेंट इज पेयर्स। डेटा शुड बी इन पेयर। We have to take two things at least at a time. Means pair. Data should be in pair form. Third requirement for Pearson product movement is linear. Linear means the straight line. Both the variables are having the linearity in a same directions or normality. Data set should be in normal form. The distributions of data should be in normal form. So these are the requirement for Pearson product movement method. So we will calculate the Pearson product moment correlations with the help of this example. So first we need to understand the example. Let's have an example. Anxiety and self-concept are two variables in front of us. We want to correlate whether anxiety and self-concept are related with each other or not. Because two variables are, we are having in it two pairs, anxiety and self-concept. And we want to establish the correlations between anxiety and self-concept. So in next class, we will calculate the anxiety and self-concept. What is the relationship between anxiety and self-concept? So this is all about the theoretical part of the correlation, which we need to understand first. In next class, we will discuss the calculation part of the correlation. So this is the theoretical part of the correlations.